So I got to ask, have you ever wanted to add subscription services to your business? Or have you ever tried to add subscription services to your business and quickly became overwhelmed with the number of things that have to be tracked in order to make all the wheels turn in the right direction? Well, if that's the case, then I'm here to help you out today. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to add or how to start your subscription flywheel in 2023. Now, for a lot of people, they've never heard of a subscription flywheel. And that's not uncommon because a lot of people haven't really looked into what a subscription business is or what the difference is between a subscription business and what a regular business is. So let's start there. Let's start with what I like to call a little housekeeping. So, the first thing we want to do is understand that all businesses have two business units. And those two business units are customer acquisition and customer success. Now, it doesn't really matter what kind of company it is. It can be a manufacturing company, it can be a coaching company, a design company. It's all the same. You got two pieces. You got a customer acquisition piece and you got a customer success piece. Now, generally, what happens if you're in something like a SaaS business or software as a service business or as a subscription business, you're kind of at one end of the spectrum. If you're in a referral business, you're at the other end of the spectrum. Or rather, let's make it even simpler. So at one end of the spectrum, you've got referral businesses, coaching, design, web design, consulting. That's at one end of the spectrum. That's referral. You do it well, and you get business. At least that's what happens in theory. At the other end of the spectrum, what you have the product businesses. And those businesses are about going out every day and selling products. I mean, we're talking car companies, we're talking heavy machinery. In a lot of cases, we're talking SaaS companies. We're talking people that have products that have individual units that they need to move on a daily basis. But what they have in common is they have a customer acquisition piece and they have a customer success piece. Now, on the customer acquisition side, we know these people. We avoid these people. We don't want to talk to them on the phone when they call. When the telemarketer calls, nobody's home. On the other side, we know the customer service or the customer success piece because they answer the call when the stuff doesn't work. I mean, that's pretty much putting it in a nutshell. Now, what's different is that if you're in a referral business, then you are probably, you're a designer, you're a consultant, you're a coach, then generally your customer acquisition piece is not that well developed. Basically, your customer acquisition is basically an extension of your customer success piece, your customer success business, for lack of a better term. So, your customer success business, you're like, if I just do a better job, then people will call me and they will ask me to do more. I don't have to worry about it. Basically, doing a good job is enough with a customer referral business model. If you do a good job, your customer acquisition will be taken care of with some caveats. On the other end of the spectrum, you have the product guys, and those guys have to get out every day and hustle. They got to get out every day and they got to bring people in, they got to set up phone calls, and they have to really develop that customer acquisition piece. It's highly developed in those organizations. Now, just to let's get into what exactly each piece does. So the customer acquisition business unit is responsible for things like workshops and webinars and challenges and summits. I mean, they have the responsibility of getting people to raise their head. They have the responsibility to bring those people into the fold and hand them over, get them to sign up. They get rewarded by how well they do that. On the other side of the house, you have the customer success people, and those people are responsible for delivery. Does the product get where it needs to get on time and under budget? Does the product satisfy the customer's requirements? You know, and being a subscription maker, we talk a lot about fit. Is it fit for purpose? Does it meet the client's need? That's customer success. When you're talking about is it the right thing? Is it setting up a lot of friction that irritates the customer and makes them want to go somewhere else? Um, Also, the customer success P is responsible for the matrices. They do the reporting. They're the ones that are going to go out there and say, okay, we delivered this service. Did we meet it? Did we meet our goals? Not only did we meet the goals of the client, but of the did we meet the goals of the organization? Did we meet our KPIs, key performance indicators? Now, for me, I deal in a different space. I deal in a space I like to call the subscription flywheel. I deal with subscription businesses, and I deal in that black box that takes energy from one business unit and uses it to fuel the other. Now, for a lot of people, what I have found is that they don't really know what a flywheel is. And, they don't know how it works. So, what I like to do is I like to use a sewing machine, one of the old antique uh, pedal powered models. I like to use that as what I call a subscription business. This is a subscription business. It's got everything you need to conduct business. It's got the customer acquisition piece. It's got the subscription flywheel, and it's got the customer success piece. Now, you may say, well, I don't see it. Well, let me help you out here. There they are. So, down here at the bottom, at the pedal, that's customer acquisition. That's people running like hamsters. They're on the hamster wheel. They're what we, the, they are our salespeople. They go out and convince people to raise their hand and say, yeah, I want this. That's our customer acquisition people. They're there at the pedal. They generate the energy, the enthusiasm, which causes people to want to buy. Now, up at the top of my sewing machine, my antique sewing machine metaphor, we have customer success. And customer success is that piece up there where we're sewing together the different pieces. We're making the jacket. We're making the coat. We're making the suit. We're sewing it all together, and we're doing it in a way that it doesn't fall apart. That's the customer success piece. If we do that in the right way, if we satisfy that customer, if we produce a product that basically that fits well, that wears well, if they're wearing our suit for 2 or 3 days and it's got a hole in it, then they're going to come back on us. you know if we're producing bespoke products and services, then those services are going to fit well. They're going to be fit for purpose. They're going to do the things that we have been contracted, that we have been hired to do. That's what the customer success piece is. Now, if you look down here about halfway, if you're looking at my subscription flywheel and subscription business model here, you will notice this piece down here called, okay, I'm going to halt this right here. I'm going to add another slide. Okay, there we go. Now at the top here, we have customer success. And at the bottom, we have customer acquisition. I mean, they're the people who really get things done. They're the foundation of what we do. If we don't get people to raise their hand and sign up and subscribe to our companies, to our businesses, then we don't stay in business. But in the middle, that's where the magic happens. That's what I call the subscription flywheel. Now, if you look at it, it's a wheel. It's connected to a, basically a lever or a rod, and as you know, if you were into cars, you would know this as a rod, and that as you pump up and down there on the pedal, the rod spins, and it may be a little, if you were looking at my Singer sewing machine subscription model, what you would see is you would see a leather um, a leather belt. And sometimes they actually say it's rubber, but it's not. I remember back in the day, because I have broken one of those, that thing is leather. It's a leather rope. And you say, well, why leather? So we have to remember that when these machines were built, this was built during a time when everyone was doing manual labor. And it's that manual labor that actually is the reason that we have subscription flywheels and why we have flywheels in general, why flywheels were so important to the development and to the growth of our nation. Because what flywheels do is flywheels allow you to rest. And if you're in the middle, if you're doing manual labor, then having the ability to rest is an important function. Having the ability to rest between cycles is an important function. Having the ability to rest your legs and still to continue to sew fabrics is an important function. That's where I think we get into that. That's the issue I find with young people, with people who have never really dealt with flywheels, people who have only seen electricity, because electricity is different. Electricity is instantaneous. So if you have an electric sewing machine, which my mom bought my grandmother after a while when she started to have arthritis and such, uh, if you have an electric sewing machine, when you push the pedal, it moves. It's got torque, the kind of torque that a machine, a manual powered machine could never have. I mean, that's what we see today in most businesses. Most business models are set up for torque. They're set up for electricity. They're set up to move at the speed of light, but that doesn't mean they're moving in the right direction. That doesn't mean that the the people who are using those funnels, that electrical powered machinery, that doesn't mean it's satisfying the customer. That doesn't mean the customer is seeing success with what they're buying. If you want that to happen, now you got to look at that subscription flywheel. You got to look at how you can do the stuff that needs to be done manually, such as running workshops, such as getting out and talking to your customers to figure out what they're missing, what additional services that they're missing that you can sell them next. I mean, that's when but you need your flywheel to continue to move. You need that wheel to continue to turn so that you can continue to churn out suits, even though you may need to do something else for a while. So what you do is you pump real fast on that foot pedal, and the flywheel would turn. And as long as you didn't do anything to it, it would continue to turn, which meant that the sewing machine would continue to work. And that's what I mean by a subscription flywheel. And that's what's going to help you be successful with subscription services in 2023. It's not going to be a click funnel. It's not going to be a funnel where you're basically dumping people in at the top of the funnel and you're basically always looking to be what I like to call harvesting. So you can't run a business if you're only harvesting. If you're harvesting leads, you're too late in the cycle. What happens is if you're harvesting leads, if you're doing nothing but pure referral businesses, then basically you have no control. Business walks in the door when it walks in the door, looking however it looks, at whatever state it's in. If you're doing, if you can't take the time to perform other customer success functions, then it becomes overwhelming. If you haven't set up processes which will allow you to take time, which will allow you to leverage other assets, other digital assets that you may have available. That's what that flywheel is. That subscription flywheel. That's time. That's you clawing back time. That's you being able to add additional resources to your team and still be able to churn out the success or churn out the deliverables you need to achieve success. So what I want to do now is I want to thank you for being here for my discussion of subscription flywheels and how to get those started in 2023. I want to thank you for that, and I'll see you next time. We're going to be back live on. We'll be back live, and we'll put the word out. So thank you very much.